Welcome back to Embodied Wellness Radio, everybody, a podcast framed around creating the happiest and healthiest lives that we can possibly make with training, nutrition, mindset, and so much more. Today's guest is Alex Rabu. Alex was a business performance coach responsible for a team of 18 young entrepreneurs and more than $7 million in revenue. Struggling to find his energy he needed, and caffeine just wasn't doing it, he quickly became interested in the medicinal plants and mushrooms, and it sparked a journey which led him to founding the company Urban Mana. Their first product, Urban Mana Energy, is an answer to the current demand for performance-enhancing all-natural health supplements and the distinct lack of quality being offered by the largest companies on the market. Welcome to the podcast, Alex Rabu.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Absolutely. We're so excited to have you here.
We're so excited to speak with Alex today because during recent times and even over the past few years, there's really been this call and this longing for herbal medicine and for different ways that we can work with our bodies to balance our energy and balance our mood. And I think a lot of people are now coming to the realization that we really need to be supporting our bodies at all times. That it's not just about waiting until you're sick, waiting until you have adrenal fatigue, waiting until you experience these larger imbalances to take care of yourself. And that it's really important to have these safe medicines and these practices that can really support our body every single day. And so this is where medicinal mushrooms and herbal medicine in general just really start to stand out, is in preventative medicine and really having a safe way to support our bodies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the most exciting things for us is seeing this explosion of something that we're so passionate about. So Alex, can you tell us a little bit about why are the magic around all of these incredible mushrooms just capturing the entire society right now, especially in the health supplement industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's definitely making waves in North America, as we've seen over the last 5 years. But in Asia, medicinal mushrooms and medicinal plants have been used for thousands of years. And to the point where if you go to a hospital in China with respiratory issues, they might prescribe something like cordyceps to you, which is a medicinal mushroom. And the fact that the medical system is recognizing these natural plant medicines is way more advanced than what we're doing treating the symptoms here in North America. So I think people are really waking up to that. They're trying these things out. The proof is in their own body, their own experience, and they realize it's not some harsh chemical that can do damage to their liver or their kidneys or other parts of their body with all these different side effects. Because they're all natural plants, our bodies are just naturally equipped to deal with these things.
Yeah, and especially because as humans, we evolved with plants. Our body knows exactly what to do with plant medicine. Our body understands these compounds, and whereas conventional medicine really picks out oftentimes parts of plants and then just produces a synthetic version of it, plants and mushrooms have this incredible matrix of compounds that just work together beautifully with our body, and they can support us in many ways. So in Chinese medicine, you have, say, reishi or chaga, these medicinal mushrooms, which can really help your body with a lot of different things at once. So they're prescribed as medicine for A, symptoms, but also B, to really support you on a deeper level with these larger imbalances, because plants are a matrix. They're not just one compound. So when we use herbal medicine or plant medicine, we're getting a lot more than you would get just by contracting one chemical constituent out of it, which is another really amazing thing about herbs and plants and mushrooms in general.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so when you read the list of benefits from these medicinal plants and mushrooms, it's a laundry list. It's super long. And some people can think, wow, like, what is this? Some miracle drug? So no, it's exactly like what you said. A drug is targeted to one thing for one symptom, whereas these plants are a more complex matrix with complex compounds inside of them and a variety of compounds. And so they can work in so many different ways. The nice thing is that they'll work different for me than they'll work for you based on your body, based on my body and kind of what we need. And all of that sounds like hocus pocus. When you pair, traditional plant-based medicine and stuff with things like, it'll modulate your immune system up or down based on how active or underactive it is. That kind of stuff starts to sound crazy. You start to add things like lower cholesterol, lower blood pressure, antioxidant, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. People have a tough time actually believing it. But now with the internet, people are diving in a little bit deeper, and it's starting to get traction in North America, which is pretty beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And I think it would be useful to touch a little bit about adaptogens, which is a group of herbs that essentially helps your body deal with stress and can upregulate your energy. And a lot of mushrooms are adaptogenic herbs. And so, as Alex mentioned, they have this modulating effect, which means for me, they might lower my stress levels. Whereas for someone who potentially has low cortisol in the morning, they might actually help to enhance that. And so these plants are really quite intelligent. Like, plants are living beings. And so we also as humans are intelligent as well. And so when you put these two together, they really can work beautifully to create this relationship that is supporting you in the way that you need, which looks a lot different than supporting someone else how they need as well.
For me, I think what really got me excited in this entire system of all these beautiful plants that I didn't know enough about was the lion's mane mushroom. For me, it was, I wanted to help to heal my brain and my nervous system from some past concussions I had had and increase my cognitive functioning and memory in general. And when I start to dive into that realm of things and realize the benefits after a couple months of constant use, and I was probably taking, well, I take about 3 times the amount of the recommended 500 milligram dose every single day, even up to 2 or more grams. And it is exceptional. And now that I've had that experience, I feel so excited to go in and start to explore so many of the other types of ingredients that you can pour into these stacked supplements. But go ahead.
Yeah, and that's the best part, because they're plants, because they're natural. You can stack these things in amazing combinations, and you don't have to worry about cofactors throwing off and giving you side effects and all sorts of stuff, because these plants work together. There's some sort of intelligence to it. Again, that sounds like hocus pocus, but you just got to try these things and you realize that they work differently for everybody. And, lion's mane mushroom helping with cognitive performance, memory, neurogenesis, all sorts of stuff, which until you try it, it sounds too good to be true. And that's the case with all these medicinal plants and mushrooms. And, on this talk, we're not going to have enough time to break down all of the different mushrooms and all of their different effects, because it's a very long list. And to put it on the record, I am no expert at these things. And that's part of why I set out to make this business, though. It's because I was just a user and realizing that there were serious quality issues in the market when it came to medicinal mushroom supplements specifically. But I love business, and I love the idea of helping tune people up and offering value. And as I was using these medicinal mushroom supplements, I thought, what is going on? Like, I can't tell what a good supplement is and what a bad supplement is. And some make me feel good and some are twice the price and I don't feel it at all. And it kind of led me down this path to creating Urban Mana. And we can dive into it a little bit more later, but you don't need to be a mushroom expert to understand what makes a good mushroom supplement. And that's something I'd like to talk about on this podcast.
Yeah, so maybe you could touch a little bit on sourcing and quality issues in the industry from what you've seen, and maybe talk a little bit about how Urban Mana is different and the quality of sourcing and ingredients that you put into that product.
Well, I think it's important to note, like, this doesn't just stretch into this one industry. This goes into everything. Obviously, I come from a sports supplement background. I've worked in the industry for a long time, and you might hear that in the amino spiking problem, where companies were, for example, taking cheap aminos, putting them into protein powders so that they test higher for nitrogen content on the nitrogen testing, which tells you how much protein per scoop. And that was something that was going on for quite a while, so that they could basically scam the industry and make more money. And a lot of the same thing is happening in the mushroom industry.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. And supplements are the Wild West. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a chemist. I'm not a naturopath. And yet I started a medicinal plant mushroom company. You could start a medicinal plant mushroom company. Anybody could, right? And there's something beautiful to that, and there's something very scary to that. And when you look on the internet, there's a lot of garbage products that are hyped up with their marketing, that have fancy packaging, or they have charismatic CEOs that are leading these companies forward saying, hey, medicinal mushrooms are going to solve all your problems. And the trouble is some people look at these people and, they're mushroom experts, mycologists, or they have generations of mushroom harvesting in their family. They all have these lovely stories. And then you just trust their products because that's as much as you know about it. But in testing these things out myself, I wanted to get to the bottom of what makes a good mushroom supplement. And I came across it after a lot of diving, and it was the active compound levels. So basically, in every medicinal plant or mushroom, there's an active compound or an array of active compounds, and those are actually what give you the beneficial properties. So for instance, in the cordyceps mushroom, which is a mushroom known for giving you energy through various modalities, cordycepin and adenosine are the two active compounds that you're really looking for. And based on the level of cordycepin and adenosine, you will know how potent, how high quality this mushroom supplement is. And I remember finding that out and reading it, and then looking at the boxes and the packaging and the websites of all these different leading brands. And I couldn't find those numbers anywhere. And I thought, no, it can't be. Like, this is the good stuff. This is when you buy gasoline, you look for the octane rating so that you know how potent the gasoline is, right? Why wasn't this information being shared in the medicinal mushroom industry? And I looked and looked and looked and pulled on the thread further and further. And I realized that there is a lot of deceit going on. There's a lot of, like, stealing is probably a bit of a harsh word, but these greedy companies are literally squeezing people's money, and they're not giving them the most valuable part, which is the active compound levels. And the only reason a brand will hide the active compound levels, the only reason, is because the levels are so low that they don't want you to know what those levels are. Because to do the tests, to test for things like cordycepin or adenosine, costs about $150. I know, because we got multiple tests across the country for each one of our extracts so that we could be completely transparent in bringing the best product to the market. And truthfully, to you guys, to anybody listening or watching, like, any of you could make a higher potency cordyceps extract than the one we use. You simply have to pay more money. And the companies that manufacture these things, there's only a handful who are professionals at it, will just concentrate it and concentrate it and concentrate it. The problem is, I mean, you could buy a cordyceps extract that costs $1,000 a kilo. It's not a viable product to make a supplement, right? It's too hard to sell in a bottle. And so in seeing all this and being an entrepreneur and looking for a way to start helping people and offering value, I just thought, holy smokes, medicinal mushrooms is only getting more powerful. It's only getting more, widespread. People are understanding the benefits. The market is growing. If we position ourselves as the premium brand with transparency, showing people what the levels are, consumers, as they educate themselves, will eventually want the best, and there will be. And so that's how we positioned our brand. And I don't want to put down every other company in the game, but 99.5% of medicinal mushroom companies do not advertise or show the end user any active compound levels.
You know, I think it's funny because I think it was only probably in the past 2 years that even some of the largest names in the health space, or even let's say in the podcast world, started to understand even the same things that we're talking about right now. And there was a sudden drop off of podcast sponsorships at the time from a couple certain companies that I won't mention on the show, where everybody was talking about them, everybody was doing their ads. And then suddenly people realized what mycelium was and how much of this basically oat grain they'd be getting in their capsules rather than the actual medicinal mushroom itself. Can you talk about the process of actually what a lot of the time you're receiving in this supplement opposed to the mushroom itself?
Yeah, so this is getting into the fun part of medicinal mushrooms. So buckle up for all you guys watching or listening.
Fasten your seatbelts.
I love it. This is going to get heated.
Going to be riveting. So medicinal mushrooms, one of the areas which the market is screwing people over the biggest is by saying that their mushrooms are grown in the United States. So a lot of companies will stop their marketing there and they'll say mushrooms grown in the United States. And that sounds good, right? It's not grown in China, right? Which is what they say, 100% grown in the United States. The problem is that the only way to grow medicinal mushrooms in the States, we'll stick to something like cordyceps, but all medicinal mushrooms being used right now, cordyceps, reishi, et cetera, they basically grow these products on what's called a grain spawn. And so they take moist grain, rice, millet, oat, a bunch of different substrates it could be, and they basically inoculate it. So they take mushroom spores and they jack it into this brick of this grain, right? This carbohydrate, this starch. What happens is that the mushroom mycelium, the web, the roots start to penetrate this brick basically until the entire brick of substrate is saturated. And so you'll get this brick of what looked like oatmeal at one point, And all of a sudden it'll be white and you'll see these little mushroom veins all the way through it, but there'll be no fruiting bodies. The fruiting body is the above ground portion of the mushroom. So when you think of a mushroom at the store, like a kuramini mushroom or portobello mushroom or shiitake mushroom, the part you're eating is the fruiting body, right? That's kind of the fancy, kind of sexy part of the mushroom. A lot of companies are selling you what they call a mushroom extract, but there is no mushroom in it per se. It's still a fungi. There's the mycelium, which is the root portion. When it comes to active compounds, it's not at all the exact same as the fruiting body. But here's the biggest problem with myceliated grain products, which is all medicinal mushrooms grown in the United States. I shouldn't say all. There are a few people out there doing it very niche right now, but those aren't commercially as prolific as the big players in the game. So when I say all, I mean 90% of the market. And props to all you small-time growers down there making the real stuff. But when it comes to myceliated grain, the problem is you have this big brick of any kind of grain, and what they do is they dry it out and they powderize the whole thing and sell it as a mushroom supplement. And so, yes, there's mushroom mycelium in it, but the vast majority by weight, up to 90-95% by weight, is a grain, is brown rice, is oats. And so you're buying a premium mushroom supplement from a company that has a mycologist with TED Talks and all that at the start, and you're paying $60 for a little jar of these mushrooms that you're trusting, and you're actually just getting a bunch of grain. And it's been working very well for them. They've been selling millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of mushrooms. Something like 80% of medicinal mushroom supplements in North America, if not more, are made exactly this way. And they lie to the consumer by saying it's good quality because it's made in the United States, but it's an inferior product because it's grown in this way. And the active compounds, none of these companies are willing to post them. And the reason is if you were to test those extracts in any lab around the world, the levels would come back so low it would sink their product instantly. And so they literally just prop up their products with marketing and more TED Talks, and they get on Joe's podcast and they talk about the benefits of mushrooms. And there are amazing benefits. There's amazing benefits. But as the user, you really need to know what you're buying, because a lot of people are getting screwed over right now, the vast majority.
There's some shots taken there, and I think only a few people will know who those shots are taken at, but I love it. Oh, I love it. I'm always down for a riot.
And I think it's important to note, too, that as you mentioned, these medicines have been used for thousands of years in traditional Chinese medicine, and that some of these companies are almost getting away with it because they were the only ones doing it, or they got in at a time where they were very quickly able to become popular because it was like, ooh, mushrooms, it's cool, it's trendy, it's new, it's hip. And I think that now that there's more and more companies that are coming out with integrity, and more people are questioning the sourcing, and they're learning and they're understanding these kind of things, that there is hope for having higher quality, because when there's more people, they need to hold themselves to higher standards. The more that people are educated on the fact that there is such a thing as being sold grains as mushrooms, the more that they're almost going to be forced to either improve or to see a huge drop. And so I think as a useful tip for our listeners, it might be good to talk a little bit about how to choose a mushroom supplement. What are you looking for? What are you definitely not looking for? And how can you tell what's high quality and what's not?
Yeah, that's some great things to let the listeners and the viewers know, because it's tricky. It's a jungle out there. You're going to hear all kinds of marketing jargon to try to take your money, like heat treated, like micronized, like super extract, 10-to-1 extract, 5-to-1 extract, 100-to-1 extract. And all of this stuff is designed to make you trust the brand, right? It says super potent, it must be very potent, but none of it actually says anything. If somebody says it's a 10-to-1 extract, there's no way to verify a 10-to-1 extract in a third-party lab, right? They'll be able to tell you the active compounds, but the ratio of extraction, it's just marketing jargon. So there's a few key things you need to look for when buying medicinal mushrooms. The first one, the biggest one, is it extracted? So mushrooms, the way they work, they have a cell structure which encapsulates the active compounds in what's called chitin. So chitin is the same material that crab claws are made out of, right? And things like that. So it's this naturally occurring, really hard substance. And it's actually inside of mushrooms. That's how mushrooms, you can cook them like, have you ever overcooked a mushroom? Right?
Yes.
It's very hard.
I mean, never.
You can.
Never.
Yeah. It's very hard to overcook them, right? And that's because of the cell structure, and they stand up well. A carrot will turn to mush. A mushroom won't turn to mush, right?
Yeah.
Part of that is this chitin. And this chitin layer encapsulates the active compounds. And without being able to dissolve the chitin through an extraction, you can't actually get at the active compounds. So if you're buying a medicinal mushroom supplement and it doesn't say extracted explicitly on it, it's an unextracted product and most likely not bioavailable at all. You won't be able to access the active compounds because you don't have the right enzymes to break down this chitin layer. You don't have to remember all that for everybody watching, but just remember that if it doesn't say extracted on it explicitly, that it is an inferior product and it's probably a waste of money. So that's the first one, extracted. If you want to go to the next level, dual extracted. So there are some compounds inside of medicinal mushrooms that are water soluble. There are some that are alcohol soluble. And so if you get dual extracted, which is a hot water extract and an alcohol extract, you get all of the active compounds. It's an extra process. It costs the manufacturer more money to do. The extract is more expensive, but you as an end user will be getting more of the benefits from the medicinal mushroom. So that kind of stuff's important because some people use medicinal mushrooms for optimizing their health. Some people use it for reducing tumor size or its anti-cancer properties, right? And there's tons and tons and tons of scientific research on all of these different things that hopefully we can link to this afterwards, because that's, for somebody to look through that, it takes a long, long time.
Yeah, so everything will be in the show notes at embodiedwellnessco.com/blog/urban If you guys don't know how to spell urban mana, it is URBANMANA.
Perfect. So yeah, if you're using these things for fighting cancer, for instance, you want them to work. You need them to work. And you need to do your homework because there's a lot of BS out there. And so if you get something like a turkey tail mushroom because you want to reduce tumor size or cancer or any of these different things, which there is studies showing and hundreds of years of anecdotal use also of it doing these things, you have to make sure that it's extracted, preferably dual extracted. The next one, of course, with any supplement you're taking in, you should be looking for organic. Heavy metals and pesticides and stuff like that can be concentrated in extracts and supplements that are highly concentrated. And so if you're not working with the best source material, as it gets concentrated more and more, so do these impurities that you don't want. So organic, dual extracted, and then the creme de la creme, and what we hang our hat on at Urban Mana and why I started this business, even though I'm not a medicinal mushroom expert, is clearly labeled active compounds. If a company is offering value to you as a user and they are unafraid, they will have third-party lab testing available to you. Ideally, you don't need to ask for it. That's how you know you're buying from a good company. They put it on their packaging everywhere. It's the octane rating of the gasoline. It shows you how good it actually is. It's like buying a computer and knowing how powerful the CPU is. If you don't know the active compound level, it's like buying a laptop and paying premium price and not knowing what's inside of it. You have no idea, except for the marketers telling you it's good, it's super good, right? And that's not good enough. So you have to look for those active compounds. And the gold standard is to post them right on the box, right? There'll be nothing to hide. With Urban Mana, we have them under every single ingredient. So for example, we have cordyceps, and we have the cordycepin and adenosine levels posted. We have ashwagandha, and we have the withanolides posted, which is the active compound for that. Eleuthrosid is the active compound. Rhodiola, which is the salicylic compound. And then shilajit, which you're looking for fulvic acid in shilajit. So for every one of these medicinal plants and mushrooms, there are certain active compounds that are what make them expensive, that are what make them potent, actually have bioavailability. And so you need to know a little bit about every supplement you're taking in your body. If you're paying a company to take a supplement in your body, spend 15, 20 minutes on the internet and just research it to know how it's going to affect you and to know how to source a good one so that you don't waste hundreds or thousands of dollars.
I'm in the process right now of doing basically a consumer report in the supplement industry on both plant-based proteins and collagen, as well as whey will be the third one. And this is going to take months and months for me to go through the process of emailing and calling and sending out messages on social media to hopefully dozens and dozens and dozens of companies, so I can build out an incredible report for people to go and rely back on to see, can I trust this company? Were they transparent enough? Would they actually send out a COA to show the heavy metals ratings in their proteins? And I think this is something that once all that's done, I want to come back and do the exact same thing in the mushroom industry. But much like supplements that you would take from, say, like a GNC or Popeyes or anything like that, even if we're referencing proteins, there's so many different types of proteins and they all have different benefits. We've talked about a lot of ingredients that you might find on this label, but if you could give the top 5 or the 5 most common mushrooms that you would find in supplementation form, or perhaps even in the grocery store, what are some of the best things for people to be taking right now?
So medicinal mushrooms. The common mushrooms you're going to see in the store, like portobello, cremini, shiitake, even these mushrooms have beneficial properties to them. When we talk about medicinal mushrooms, though, you're probably going to hear of some similar commonalities whenever anybody speaks about medicinal mushrooms. And the big names you're going to hear are reishi mushroom, chaga, cordyceps, turkey tail, lion's mane. And then there's some others you'll hear about, like maitake and shiitake too, which have medicinal benefits and are becoming a little more popular in North America. But again, the big ones are cordyceps, reishi, lion's mane, chaga, turkey tail. And there's a lot of crossover in benefits from these mushrooms, and then some have some unique properties. So I'm going to be painting with very broad strokes here because it's a lot more nuanced, but here's a very basic breakdown for people. If you're looking for a mushroom for energy, cordyceps is the name of the mushroom. Sounds super weird. There's an S at the end. It sounds pluralized. It's very strange, but it's pronounced cordyceps. And it's an energizing mushroom, but it also has abilities to help with antioxidant, immune boosting abilities. There's a whole bunch of other things, but we'll just keep it to that. Reishi is another big one. Reishi probably has the longest use. Reishi has thousands of years of use in Asia, and specifically used for immune support, antiviral, antioxidant. Chaga mushroom. Chaga comes from northern Canada, from Siberia, from cold places. And chaga is not actually a mushroom. Chaga is a conch, is what they call it. So it's like a big ball of mycelium. It almost looks like bark, like cork, and it grows on a tree. It's a parasite. It grows on a birch tree. And the way it grows and the way it survives, it has these natural occurring compounds in them, which are incredible for the immune system. And then again, it's super high in antioxidant. Lion's mane is the kind of the star right now. Cognitive support, memory, cognition, neurogenesis, that kind of stuff. And it's really become popular because of an area of supplementation called nootropics. And so lion's mane is kind of known as like a natural mushroom nootropic for that reason. And it's amazing. You try these things out. Maitake is antioxidant, anti-cancer, anti-tumor. Turkey tail, like I talked about before, is also proven to shrink tumor growth, reduce cancer, bolster immune system. And again, some of these have overlapping effects, and some of them have unique properties, and they kind of work in their own way. Turkey tail being the most researched and having had the most scientific studies on. But if you look at any one of these mushrooms, depending on what you're looking for, if you want to go into the science, it's amazing because science is finally catching up and proving what anecdotal use for thousands of years has known all along, right, in traditional healing systems. So yeah, it's really cool to see because studies are starting to happen now where they're saying, yeah, these things actually work. And that's important because the medication we're normally told about are the ones that have patents, are the ones that these companies can make a lot of money on. And that's why research is slow with stuff like medicinal plants and mushrooms, because you can't patent a mushroom, can't patent a plant, right? And so these big pharma companies don't have a vested interest in putting millions of dollars to make people realize that they actually work. Right? They don't actually want people to go to these mushrooms and to go to these plants because they can't patent it. And so that's why doing your own research is important and trying it out for yourself.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting to even consider the fact that many of these mushrooms, again, have been used for thousands of years. And so let's take reishi, for example. It's in Chinese medicine known as the herb of spiritual potency. And it's been used a lot for nourishing the heart and quieting the spirit, which are in Chinese medicine considered disorders such as anxiety, insomnia, and depression. And so this has been known for thousands of years anecdotally. And now they're starting to come out with research that all of a sudden is this big thing. Oh, reishi can be calming, or you see a lot of reishi products that are marketed to calm you at the end of the night. And it's just kind of interesting how you see things that have been known for thousands of years just starting to come to light and just starting to invest in the science that backs them as well. So one thing that's beautiful about herbs is that even if you yourself might not be a very strong believer or think it's a little bit woo-woo, you can take a look back at the history that these things at some point were the only medicines they had, alongside, of course, other natural modalities. But before they had hospitals even, they were using these medicines and they were really effective and therapeutic.
One of my favorite things actually about a lot of the mushroom supplements that we're noticing now is, I think one of the biggest problems we see in modern, especially North American society, is the issue with insulin sensitivity. Most people have very poor insulin sensitivity. And even for what you were talking about, lion's mane, like all of these things, a lot of the times do have crossover into one another. And although it's seen as this incredible nootropic for brain function, there's also been a lot of research that goes into it for helping with insulin sensitivity, which in the coming years, as these things are less kind of frowned on and people still think, oh, you eat a mushroom? That's weird. It might become a common thing to see it in a diabetic stack of supplements that they should be taking to help reduce their insulin load throughout the day. But one funny thing that we didn't tell anybody about is Sarah and I were in the process earlier this year of actually developing our own mushroom supplements. And as our business grew and Embodied Wellness started to really take off, we eventually had to take a lot of our time and reinvest it back into the company. And the funniest thing is, everything that you stand for is exactly what we were trying to prove. And the craziest part is your labeling looks so similar to the same thing we were trying to build. So when you and I got on the phone, we were unbelievably excited to talk to you because I knew we would hit it off immediately, and your vision and your plan for the future would definitely meet and coincide with ours as well. So I want to take a moment and talk about Urban Mana. Talk about the mission of the company, the supplement you have right now, the quality and the future that you were looking to build through Urban Mana.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's great to hear of other people wanting to do similar things because medicinal plants and mushrooms work, right? And anybody can start a business. And if you have enough passion and enough time, you should, right? I'm not wishing fewer people to enter the market. I want more people to enter the market. I want there to be more grassroots competition because you don't need $200,000 to do this. You can do this with a lot less, right? You need to be in it for the right reasons, though. What happens is when people put their heart into it, quality reaches the end user, and then the market becomes more educated. And I'm here to disrupt the market. Urban Mana is here to rain on people's parades because these supplement companies have been draining people's hard-earned money, and it's frankly disgusting. And education will set everybody free. Actually learning about these things will set people free. And that's what we founded Urban Mana on. And the idea with the brand is not to be a supplement company. A supplement is something we are offering as our first product offering to the market because we need to become a commercially viable company. But the mission of Urban Mana, the mission statement is raise your state. And that is a call to action to everybody that it is time to tune up. And it is an encouragement. It is a philosophy for you to have for yourself, a gift for you to keep that you can whisper and say, raise your state. And that's really at the foundation of all of health. A lot of people are taking a supplement and they're treating their body like crap, or they're treating their mind like crap, and they're expecting the supplement to save them, right? Mm-hmm. They're looking for salvation in a bottle. That is not what we're selling. Urban Mana Energy is the most potent medicinal plant and mushroom energy supplement on the market anywhere in the world right now. We have third-party lab testing to prove it, and it's right on our website for everyone to see.
You mean I shouldn't have 500 milligrams of caffeine in a pre-workout scoop twice a day?
Yeah, you could, but your adrenals are probably freaking out a little bit.
And then you'll go to Urban Mana, and they've got you.
Go. And people are more stressed than ever, and people are reaching for stimulants more than ever. And we are a natural solution. And we didn't invent these ingredients. We have just sourced the highest potency on the market and had experts put it together for us so that we could bring the customer more value. And this is a start for us. We didn't want. So for instance, in Urban Mana Energy, there's 5 ingredients. cordyceps, ashwagandha, rhodiola, eleuthero, and shilajit. It's a mouthful, and for the end user, you don't need to worry about it. It's an all-natural medicinal plant and mushroom supplement that's going to help you to have more energy, amongst many, many other things. But I think this is the way that supplements are going to go. I don't think that people are going to want to research rhodiola. They're going to research eleuthero, right? I think they want to find brands they can trust, and then they want to trust them for what they're making, right? Mm-hmm. So Urban Mana is going to be producing an energy supplement, a mental clarity supplement, a harmonizing supplement for your immune system and anxiety, and there'll be several other things that we offer. But at the end of the day, we're not a supplement company. We will supply the best in its category forever. And if another company tries to outdo us and technology changes and extraction methods change, we're going to be on the cutting edge of offering consumers the highest value. Almost looking at it like a tech company where every year there is changes, every year there is improvements, and that is how we're going to offer the most value. And that's how we're going to disrupt the market. If the market doesn't want to adjust, well, at some point they'll be seeing our success and that of other people offering value, and they'll want to jump in, and it'll be good for everybody. Mm-hmm. But like I said, at the end of the day, that's just the supplement. Raise Your State is about more than that. And so across various modalities, we're going to be helping people to tune up. And that will involve you understanding basically all the different pillars of your life that you need to be supporting in order to live a high vibe life. And we want to take terminology like frequency and vibration and all these different things that are a little bit on the fringe right now for your average everyday person. We want to make them more digestible. That's why we chose Raise Your State, because everybody can understand state. Mm-hmm. Frequency and vibration might be a little bit tough. State is very easily understood. You're either feeling up or you're feeling down. You know when you're feeling good or you're feeling crummy, right? Raise Your State is about tuning up. It's a very simple message. We're going to be doing that through a whole bunch of things. But eventually the dream is, once we have proof of concept with our products, once we have a following, we want to open brick and mortar locations in urban cities around the world so that we can be bringing a tune-up to a city near you. Think of it like a Starbucks for your soul, where you can walk in and you can vibe up. And that's going to be done through music and sound healing. That'll be done through information like podcasts with information. It'll be done through different plant medicines and shakes and supplements. And it'll be done through a community, right? All these different things that have been taken away from us, or the only place to find those environments are with thumping music and alcohol, right? We want to change the game and create a community where people can come and retribe and rediscover what it means to tune themselves up with plants, with good vibes. And at the end of the day, raise our frequency through the terminology state, because it doesn't matter what you believe, doesn't matter what I believe, doesn't matter all these differences we have. What matters is that we're all climbing up, tuning up. And if we can have a conversation there at the top, we will have more understanding for each other. We'll have more understanding for ourselves. And from that place, we can actually change the world. And that's our mission at Urban Mana.
That is beautiful. Oh my goodness. Honestly, I wish we could end it right there, because that was such a beautiful monologue you just gave me, but I'm not going to let you go that easy. If anybody does want to know about the ingredients in their first supplement, Urban Mana Energy, these ingredients are cordyceps, ashwagandha, eleuthero, rhodiola, and shilajit. We will post these on the website in a breakdown, and link to a bunch of the research that proves all of the benefits of these ingredients. And again, that'll be at embodiedwellnessco.com/blog/urbanmana. Can you tell us about the future of the products that you're going to be putting out to make this company commercially viable? Because right now we got an energy one, but there's so many different uses for all of these mushrooms. Maybe brain supplements, or are you even thinking about going into the microdosing side of things?
Yeah, great questions. And it's an exciting time to be in entrepreneurship, right? I mean, you guys probably feel the same way.
Oh, we're buzzing every day.
It's incredible. And you don't have to be this established company with millions of dollars in your marketing budget. You don't. You need to be in it for the right reasons. You need to know how to provide value. You need to understand what you're actually doing. But that's easier than you think. And so, for instance, I don't have a background in all these different plant medicines, right? But I want to offer the best. And so I'm going to employ and hire and bring around me the best people who understand these things. And all these different supplements have benefits. So for instance, CBD has become very popular, right? For inflammation and pain management, all sorts of stuff, anti-anxiety. you name it. Well, CBD is the wild, wild west, just like mushrooms. And there is varying quality, and most people are getting scammed, and they don't even know what they're buying. The thing is that a proper CBD supplement is an amazing, amazing natural plant medicine.
And you're going to come out with this?
We will eventually.
Okay.
But we will basically just source the very best, and that's how it's done. These companies aren't out there producing their own CBD extracts. They're getting these producers to make it for them, contract manufacturers. The supplement industry is not at all what you think it is. And so you need to know how to navigate that. But we will eventually be doing a pain management one, an anti-anxiety one. We're going to be doing a brain supplement with lion's mane and some other ingredients. We're going to be doing a major immune system boosting one for things like if you do have cancer, or my fiance went through Lyme disease 2 years ago, and we learned everything about Lyme disease. And right now the medical industry doesn't address a lot of these things. So we want to provide the very best plant-based medicine we can. And as the technology changes and as it gets better and better, we will be, like I said, on the cutting edge of that. A lot of people set it and forget it. They make some myceliated grain cordyceps product, and they say, this is cordyceps 5000 super plus, and they sell it to you, and they just sit back, and that product is done. And whenever they're out, they just press a button and they get it ordered again, and they just make money, and that's it. It's not what's going to happen with us. We are committed to changing and growing and always being at that bleeding edge, so that as the market changes, we will change too. But as the end user, you can trust us. You can trust our third-party lab testing, and you can know that you're always going to be getting the best there is, because it's like you said, doing something with integrity. If you're not offering the best, you go to sleep with that, and you know it, right? And I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to commit to helping raise state unless it's the best available. And one of the areas people will confuse you when it comes to supplements is they'll say things like, it must be made in America, or don't get something from China. And I would just urge everybody watching or listening to dig a little bit deeper, right? First of all, medicinal plants and mushrooms, when it comes to China and India, like, it is deeply baked into their health systems for thousands and thousands of years. And there's so much wisdom. They're the ones that put these things on the map, right? And North America is very young, and North America is very capitalist, and North America likes to think it's the best at everything. And that is simply not true. So step back from your patriotism and actually look into whatever you're putting in your body, and really look into it. And if it says China, don't stop there. There's some beautiful, beautiful products made in China. The best products, right? In a lot of cases, my webcam, my laptop, my amazing cell phone, this microphone, the list goes on, right? So let's not be hypocrites. There are incredible things being made all around the world, but you need to educate yourself to go just a little bit deeper to know what you're looking for.
I think I love you.
Hey.
I love you too, baby.
So that's our ethos of how we're going to go forward with this. Because look around, like, the world needs saving, right? Mm-hmm. And I think everybody needs to put their hand up as to how they want to make the world a little bit better, right? And this is one of the directions we're going. And there's no scarcity. There's no limitations to what can happen. I don't want to discourage you from starting a medicinal mushroom company. Start one, come and compete, make something beautiful, offer it to the market, and let's both have to make better products and better offerings. And let's take out those big companies that are screwing people over. Let's take them out at the knees, and let's do it grassroots by offering more value. And that's an invitation to everybody. And, we don't need to convince all the sheep to wake up. We need to convince the shepherds to wake up. We need to convince the heroes to step up. We need to convince the other people like you and me to shine a light and to make something pure, something real, something that's not just trying to steal your money, like all the capitalism we see these days that's so corrupt. And that's what Urban Mana is. And we invite you to come check us out.
Oh, we're not only going to come check you out. We're joining the crew. I don't think anybody's going to want.
I took 2 of those before this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Take 2 of those and call me in the morning. You won't sleep. Yeah. But Alex, I am in love with everything that you were saying. And as we've spoken about before, I even dug a little deeper into everything after our first conversation over the phone. And I'm so behind everything that Urban Mana is doing. So we're super excited to not only partner with the company, but grow with you as you grow, because your energy is contagious. Your vibe that you're putting out through the company is going to spread into every single urban society out there. And we are so excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, we have the same values. When you said education will set you free, that's also our mission, is to educate. And really it is about speaking about these things and bringing awareness. And so it's beautiful to be able to partner with companies who also are not just in it for the business side, but really wanting to educate people and to empower people and to create communities of people who can really help raise each other up, because that's what it's all about. And it's amazing to see companies who are in this industry, which is a little bit sketchy.
A lot sketchy.
Yeah, which is pretty sketchy, to have these values and have these standards, and companies that we can recommend to our clients and that you really can trust because you just heard him speak. Like, how could you not trust that? And so it's really refreshing to see this passion and to see this integrity shining through in the industry, and also with a freaking amazing product as well.
Thank you. Yeah, it'll be a domino effect, right? Mm-hmm. You guys are doing good work. We're doing good work. We know a bunch of people collectively doing good work, and it's amazing what's going to happen because we're just getting started, right? You give us 10 more years of doing this, my goodness, how far ahead will we be?
Whole
how
world's
many collaborations?
Be on mushrooms.
It's just the start. And like you were talking about, the opportunity for microdosing, like we are on the precipice of psychedelics becoming an everyday medication around the world. That is nothing short of unbelievable, fantastic, amazing, where the archaic laws of our world are being recognized as such. And this natural plant that has been put here by evolution or God or whatever you believe in is something that you can now legally look at consuming, and your body knows what to do with it. And it can help you to heal. It can help you to vibe up. Obviously, it needs to be used with caution. That could be a whole podcast in itself, but it is an amazing, amazing way to interact with a plant or a mushroom to change your state. And I am all on board with that. And we will again be at the bleeding edge of this whole experience. And we won't be the first to the race because we want to do it right, but we will do it proper.
That is fantastic. And yeah, I have been excited to get a podcast together about the psychedelic mushrooms, because that is an entire other topic that needs to be handled on its own. But I've been seeing pretty incredible benefits from the microdosing protocols that I've been following. And there will be a few other things that I want to try before I really dive into that conversation. But it will be an exciting time when we can start to openly realize that across not just the West Coast, because I feel like really our kind of West Coast ethos here is the first one to get on board with it. And a lot of the even central parts of North America have not really seen it like we do. But that can be a whole other topic on its own. Alex, where can people find you at?
urbanmana.com is the easiest way to find us. You can find us on YouTube as well, where we've launched a video cast, and we're being goofs and being ourselves and trying to shine a light on what we love and what we think is true and trying to vibe people up. So come check us out. Instagram, you can check us out too, and on Facebook as well, Urban Mana. And to explain what Urban Mana is briefly, urban, self-explanatory, an urban space inside of a city, right? And mana is this Polynesian word which means spiritual, supernatural life force, right? Your mana, your essence. And we chose Urban Mana, or I should say Urban Mana chose me and came to me as a name. And the mission came at the same time. People need it in cities. People need their supernatural life force tuned up in cities, because what tunes up your supernatural life force? Well, predominantly nature. Being out on the beach, being out by a waterfall, watching a sunset, right? You have enough of that stuff. You are tuned naturally. You probably don't need any supplements, and I'm not going to recommend that you start taking mine, right? Go fill up with that stuff. But if you're in a city, if you're in an urban space, if you're looking to get that extra advantage from the medicinal plant and mushroom kingdom, well, then we're bringing it to you in an urban space. And like I said, a supplement is only one part of the equation. If you check us out on YouTube and you follow along with our ethos and what we're actually about, raising your state is done across several different ways, where if you can get a handle on those and they can become a tool belt for your life, you never have to worry about getting detuned. You never have to worry about fear. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff, because you have the power to tune yourself up. And the supplement is only one part of it.
Beautiful. So if anybody wants to check this out, we will be putting all the podcast notes at embodiedwellnessco.com/blog/urbanmana. In there, we will give you a link where you can go on in through and check out the products for yourself. Every purchase you do make does help out the podcast and lets us get amazing guests like Alex to come on and share their mission and share their vibe with the rest of us. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I'm so excited to meet you in person in Victoria. And for everybody else, please check them out on Instagram, YouTube, their website, Facebook, everything, because we want to support local British Columbia companies because that's where we are.
Thank you so much for chatting with us today, Alex.
Love it, guys. I've had a blast. Great to meet you both and great to chat about this topic. It's only going to become more popular, so I feel honored.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Chat soon. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. This podcast provides general information and discussions about health and related subjects. The information and other content provided in this podcast or any linked materials are not intended and should not be construed as medical advice, nor is the information a substitute for professional medical expertise or treatment. If you or any other person has medical concern, you should consult with your healthcare provider and seek other professional medical treatment. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you may have heard on this podcast or any linked materials. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call your doctor or emergency services immediately. The opinions and views expressed on this podcast are of no relation to those of any academic, hospital, health practice, or other institution.